Project One Productions.
Beautiful people in Nigeria, different language, proud Nigeria. There's plenty food, these people good, oh. All of us in peace and unity. Oh yeah, hail Nigeria. Nigeria is sweet as sugar, oh. Different people in Nigeria. No matter where you from, we don't be. All of us in peace and unity. Oh yeah, hail Nigeria. Oh, I'm a Nigerian too. I'm a Nigerian too. Strong people, one great nation. One great nation. Different faces, one Nigeria. No matter what you speak, we say be brother. All of us in peace and unity. We are glad for Nigeria. Different stories, many places to go, yeah. Plenty resources, everywhere green, yo. No matter where we go, now we go be king. All of us in peace and unity. Oh yeah, hail Nigeria. Nigeria is sweet as sugar. Different people in Nigeria. Oh, no matter where you from, we don't be. It don't matter. Oh, all of us in peace and unity. Oh yeah, hail Nigeria.
Hello. My name is Mabel and I am a Nigerian.
My name is Destiny Elu.
So good evening, Nigerians. It's another beautiful day to be joining you on the conference, the I'm a Nigerian 2021 conference. And I must say that it's been a fantastic experience so far. We've been able to cover 3 good days, and today is the 3rd day, the 25th of May, 2021. And as usual, you know how passionate we are about Africa, about Nigeria. And this is no other day but the day we've all called the African Day and with Project Internet today. I do hope the internet will enable us have a great outing as well. But then I will try to also wrap it up as fast as possible before the internet goes off on us. So I said, welcome to the 3rd day of the conference, and it's tagged the African Day. Our topic today is the Africa we want and our role in it. Are you an African? Are you from Africa? You may reside and you may not reside in Africa, but if you're from Africa, this topic is essentially for you. And joining us today, it's someone I am super proud of. He's a Nigerian, he's an African man who has done us proud in so many feats of endeavor. Is a passionate person when it comes to the issue and topic of Africa. And among his friends and those who know him, they know he so much believe. They know he totally believes in the African nation. His name is Dr. Toby Oluwatola, and he's an energy and media executive and policy advisor. He spiritually worked for RAND Corporation, KPMG Consulting, and the Action Congress of Nigeria. So when it comes to this topic we're going to be going through today, is seasoned, and we believe he will do justice to some of the questions we have. Just having a chat and chat. You can watch this, and then of course we'll share this link after this evening so that other people can come back to hear what he has to share with us. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Let me bring him up straight. Dr. Toby Oluwatola, I hope you can hear me right now.
Yes, I
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, and I'm happy to be
Fantastic.
on your show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Toby. It's fantastic having you on the show this evening. As I've rightly said earlier, Africa is our continent. Africa is a place we are all proud of. And we believe that in the nearest and coming years, we're going to see a greater and a brighter Africa. I'm sure you agree with me on that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. I would not, because I am hoping that the African network would favor us this evening. I will not go off on us. I'll try as much as possible.
We're both, you and I both. You and I both.
So I've had one or two people said to me that, no, don't rush it, 15 minutes. Why do you want to hear more from him and all that? For those who have encountered or met you at one time or the other. Nonetheless, I'll just go straight to the questions of the day and not take too much of your time. The Africa we want, we totally believe is about repositioning Africa to becoming a dominant player in the global arena. And if we really want to reposition Africa to becoming that dominant player in the global arena, Dr. Toby, what would you say is the role of an average African? A lot of us want to know, how do we come to play in this whole agenda of turning Africa into a dominant player in the global arena? Please, I'd like to have your view on that.
Thank you so much, Bisayo, and thank you for having me on your show again. I think it's a very interesting question, what it would take for Africa to be a dominant player in the global arena or in the global economy, as I prefer to put it. I think the first thing is for us to recognize that Africa cannot be a significant player if Africa is not prosperous. So the first thing is that Africa needs to achieve prosperity. Right now, Nigeria, for example, has a GDP per capita of about $2,000. $2,000 that compares to the US at $65,000 and China at about $10,000. So you see what the reason for the disparity in global influence is that we're poor, and the wealthier we become, the more we have a voice on the global arena. And for Africa to become wealthy, there's a process to that. There are definite things that Africans can do, and I think that the responsibility is slightly different for depending on what category of African you find yourself to be. And I would split that into 4 categories. One is the political class. For the political class, we've got to create an environment that allows for prosperity to happen. That means that people are safe. There's a rule of law that allows people to conduct business. People are healthy, and so on and so forth. Number 2, if you're a wealthy African, and there are many Africans that are wealthy, both locally and in diaspora, you've got a responsibility to invest in Africa. You've got a responsibility beyond, just a responsibility to grow your wealth. You've got a responsibility to invest in Africa. If you're a middle class or lower class African, you've got a responsibility to do your part in increasing Africa's productivity. And I'll come back to the concept of productivity again and again in the course of this conversation, because I think prosperity is all about I make A, I sell it to you for 100,000 naira, you give me 100,000 naira, I have become 100,000 naira more prosperous. And the more we make, the more prosperous we can be. And the process of, and by the more we make, I don't mean that we have to make everything from end to end. It's all about us just being productive. You go to the average African civil service office, and for 8 hours in a day, people are just walking around, chilling, gisting, and moving files around, not really doing much. And that needs to change. Once we are more productive, we can become more prosperous. And that, in my view, is the key. Now, once we, in addition to being productive, lower class Africans, because we have the numbers, we also have the responsibility to hold the upper class Africans, that's the political class and the wealthy class, accountable, to create a conducive environment and to invest appropriately. So I'll stop there, and we can explore that a little bit more later.
Fantastic. I can already see comment. Jeremiah Babala just said productivity is key to becoming prosperous. And fantastic. Yes, really, I love all the points you've been able to, in this short time, highlight. Wealthy Africans must invest in Africa as well. Fantastic points. I actually totally agree with you, Dr. Tobi Oluwatala. Really, we've got the numbers, and that's one of the things I always talk about. Africa has not just, when we talk about natural resources, we have human resources, we have everything that actually could position us in that place that we really want to be. And so it behoves on all of us, from what you said, sir, from the wealthy, the mid-level, and even anybody at all who finds himself or herself on the planet or is from Africa must play a role to actually have us achieve that goal. And that takes me to my next question, and as I've mentioned, that Africa is renowned as a place of many opportunities and resources. And over the years, a lot of people have narrowed down problem in Africa or challenges in Africa to bad leadership. You hear corruption, it's almost as was to corruption or bad. And if I'm going to zero on bad leadership, would you consider these our main challenge in Africa or only challenge? Because probably if you have good leaders, then corruption will be down to zero and people will be able to do. And what you think about Africa actually becoming that real place that it should be, is the challenge leadership, or there are other factors we also need to pay attention?
100%, I agree with you that leadership is the anchor problem that Africa has today, or a majority of African countries have today. There are African countries that have good leadership, and there are African businesses that have good leadership. Then there are African families that have good leadership. But in the places where things fail, leadership is a core and probably the anchor problem. But that's the easy answer, because we've got to ask, what do we really expect of leaders? And what does it mean to have good leadership? And I think that leadership, the leadership challenge that we face is multifarious. On the political side, yes, we have a situation where we've got a lot of people who are grossly incompetent and grossly corrupt at making decisions on our behalf. And for that reason, they've created or they perpetuate environments that are inconducive for businesses to thrive. And for that reason, leadership is the problem. And I'll give a very simple illustration. Only 30 years ago, most of Asia, China, Taiwan, South Korea were desperately poor, like Africa is. They were desperately poor. But the thing that really distinguished certain Asian countries from others like India and Philippines that have not done very well was because political leadership made certain decisions that helped people be more productive. For example, land use. Political leadership made land in South Korea and Taiwan, made land available for free for people to farm. So as long as you are a household and you want to farm, you will get land that is in your name that you can farm. So it's not that some poor person is depending on some rich person to come and farm on their land. Everybody has a right to land to farm. And because of that, there was an agricultural boom. And those poor farmers were able to send their kids to school so their kids could get a good education. And then their kids could work in industry. And that agricultural success led to manufacturing and technological success that we see today. We see things like Samsung, we see things like Kia and those products. But it started with an agricultural revolution. And the same is true in countries like China. So it's, and going back to that productivity question, what is the role of leadership? The role of leadership is to help us be more productive. So even when I'm running a company, my role as a leader in the company is to figure out how can I get more work out of my people so that we can all be more productive and as such be more prosperous. So leadership is the core problem, but the core job of leadership that leadership isn't doing well is to make us more productive. And that again, I would say is the big problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's so many things to take from what you said. Network has been a bit shaky on my part, but I can't wait to go back to this YouTube video and watch and listen to you all over again. But fantastic, really. I love what Jeremiah Babalaye put out. He said, we've had Asian country where leadership provided poor people with farmlands for free in order to develop productivity. And I also hear you talk about other nations that up till recent have had challenges, but then in the last couple of years as well, they've grown out of it. So there is actually indeed hope for the African nation. I've heard a lot of people say I shouldn't refer to Africa as a nation.
Absolutely, and we've got to get over
today. A lot of Africans. Are you with me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you. Yes.
Okay. It said a lot of Africans, it might not be general, but then quite a number of people prefer foreign. Let me Africa, sometimes it feels cool when you're wearing a foreign material. You want to wear the Gucci, you say, no, Gucci, and then Prada, all those names that comes from abroad, and you hardly hear Mobile International or any other name you may want to talk about that is locally made. Now, made in Africa products, large scale exportation is one of AU's goal for 2063. This is 2021. That is, Africa is hoping that in the next 42 years, made in African products would have become what we're largely importing and exporting both ways. How achievable do you think this goal is vis-a-vis the mentality that prefers foreign amongst Africa? I've heard this saying at different times that $1 will go around at least 20 times in a Jewish community before it leaves. But in an African setting, people are eager to take out their money to the foreign and patronize other people or other products that are not made in Africa. How would you consider that statement? How true do you think that statement is? And if it happens to be true that really most Africans prefer foreign products, do you think the made in Africa products goal being the major product in Africa as of 2063, do you think it is achievable? Over to you, Dr. Tom.
That's a very interesting question, and I'm glad I'm wearing an African attire today, so you know that I purchase Africa. But then my earphones are American, my laptop is American. The material used to make the African attire I'm wearing is probably from Taiwan, as is many of the things that are in my laptop and whatnot. So the key is there's nothing wrong with wanting foreign, wanting good quality. There is nothing wrong with that. And even the Jewish people that you speak of still wear fancy clothes, still wear designers and whatnot. The key principle is for Africa to be part of the global supply chain. We don't have to make everything, but we do need to be part of the global supply chain in a substantial way. And the way to achieve that is not necessarily to try to make everything for yourself. We live in a world where the world we live in today is a world, and the way Adam Smith put it is that to manufacture a pin, several people, if one person tried to manufacture a pin, it would take that person several years to manufacture that pin. But because several people doing several little things, you can manufacture a pin. And that's really what it is. Africa just needs to focus on what are we good at. And in addition to, so it's not about importation prevention as much as it is increasing exports. What are we good at, and how can we play a bigger role in making sure that we supply something to the rest of the world? So if there's nothing wrong with getting $100,000 worth of goods coming into my country, as long as I'm sending $120,000 worth of goods back. That's the key. So we just need to make sure that yes, we can and one of the things that is great about the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is that it now creates an opportunity for Africans to export within Africa. So beyond just trying to export to China and India and whatnot, and the US, we can export within ourselves, and it can be cheaper to export within ourselves. If the barriers in logistics, barriers in tariffs, the barriers in ability to transport goods, if those things are taken out, Africa can be prosperous by trading with itself and the rest of the world. So again, to summarize, the key is to make sure is not to cut ourselves off from the world. It's not possible. The key is to make sure that we create more that we can give in exchange for what we take. And if I may add to that, there's a popular conception that that corruption is the biggest problem in Africa. And I think that it is true that there is a lot of corruption in Africa, as there is, but the truth is that there's corruption everywhere. And the key is to curbing corruption is simply more transparency.
Dr. Toby is joining.
And more transparency in the production process and in our processes. And that's really the thing that we as the masses in Africa need to be demanding more of our leaders. All right, Bisaya.
Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. I
Yes,
think I'm back on.
You.
The internet is running off, so I'm going to try as much as possible to round up. And I'm going to be asking, I just have two more. I think I'm just going to have this very important question. What role should we as individuals and institutions play to birth the Africa that we desire? I know you've already touched on it when you talk about the role of an average African, talking from the high, middle, or low class, whatever strata of the society one might belong in. But I would want you to stretch it further, the role that as individual or an institution must play to birth the Africa that we desire. I love the hashtag of question we all should ask ourselves.
So Bisayo, I think it's certainly, like I said before, Africa does need Africans really do have a role to play in the birth of a new Africa. And the first thing I want that it's important to recognize is that it's not an impossible challenge. Now, if you're like me and you have lived abroad and you're back in Africa and you're trying to do business in Africa, you have certainly run into certain only in Africa problems, that exists when you try to do things and be productive in Africa. But we've got to recognize that the current structure of the global economy, where Africa is on a back foot, is less than, has only been for the last 500 years or so. If we're thinking about it, and if you think about it within the context of how long humanity has been around, for 1,000 years, that 10,000 years since the agricultural revolution, it's no more than 5% of recorded time. So we've got to and the transformation that happened in Asia happened over a period of 30 years. So we've got to recognize that transformation takes time, but it's not impossible, and we've not been behind for too long. The African civilization used to be the most important civilization in the world, starting from Egypt to Ethiopia and so on and so forth. So we've got to recognize that it's not an impossible challenge, and we're not in an impossible place. And the problems we face in
Thank you so much, Dr.
The problems we face in turning it around are not unique. It only requires that we take a deep look at what the world needs from us, and that what we can exchange as value in to get what we want out of the world. So, for example, if you're a lower class, if you're in the middle class, what additional skills do you need to take on to be able to improve your productivity and improve your income? If you're in the wealthy class, what areas of need are there in Africa that you can invest in and create opportunities so that people can be more productive? If you have the resources and you see that political leadership is a hindrance, are you participating politically to make sure that we appoint leaders that can create the environment that we need to create the Africa of our dreams? Those are some of the things that we can all do. But I certainly think that I would be remiss if I don't end with this point. Like, our first responsibility as individual Africans is to be individually successful. If you're individually successful, then you can turn around or as you are being individually successful, you can turn around and make sure that the next person is successful, and that your community as a whole is successful. And we should not get trapped in this delusion that individual success by itself is alone, because no individual can succeed on their own. We have to do it collectively.
Dr. Toby, can you please repeat that statement? I heard it that we should not go under the illusion that individual success. Please, can you go over that again? Yeah.
So individual success is a sine qua non for collective success. It's important for collective success, but we should not be under the delusion that individual success is alone. Yorubas have a saying that olowo kan laarin otoshi, otoshi lowo náà, which means that if you are one rich person in a sea of poor people, you are equally poor. Because if they don't come for you or your children in terms of insecurity, the healthcare situation will get you, or someone will get kidnapped, and you will be labeled lower class when you go to other countries because your home country is not successful. So individual success is not alone, but it is a necessary first step in getting there to collective success.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Thank you so much, Dr. Toby. You've done great justice to today's topic, the Africa we want and our role in it. And I think I'm going to be rounding up from your last explanation down to the first one. You've explained to us how individual success is sine qua non to collective success, because your success, if you're successful and then you bring another person up, it keeps it's like a ripple effect. For Project One, we've always said to ourselves at Project One that if I'm able to convince one person to be proud of who he or she is or where he or she's from, and to do everything to develop and improve on that place, then that person would also pass it on to the next generation. We so much believe in the power of an individual, and that individual turning eventually and overall and with time to becoming the nation's success. And that's why every African person is important to the success of Africa. You have also said it too, that our prosperity, individual prosperity, eventually becomes the prosperity of the continent. So this is our words to all African everywhere, wherever you might be watching us during this event, and even after we have gone off on this one, and then it's right there on our YouTube channel for everybody to watch. You must know that you owe yourself a responsibility to be successful. You have to be diligent, and you have to be focused, and you have to believe in your ability to actually make it, irrespective of where you're from or the color of your skin. You must know that success is in you, and it's just wherever you find yourself, you can actually achieve it. We've had some fantastic comments. I can't wait to go over all the comments and what everybody has written to us today. Without wasting too much of our time, I want to say a big thank you, like rooftop ovation to you, Dr. Toby Oloatola. Thank you so much for joining us.
Rooftop ovation to you too,
on the third day. Thank you so much. So to all Nigerians, I say thank you all for being a part of the citizens of the conference. We go on. It's not ending here. We will be tomorrow paying courtesy visit to the National Orientation Agency, who has been one of our partners in everything we're doing, because we totally believe that orientation is very, very important. So we're going to be visiting the Orientation Commission and Agency tomorrow to further liaise with them on the need to continually educate Nigerians as to the right values, right systems, and the belief that we need to have when it comes to developing a nation, and at the same time developing Africa in the overall. And on Saturday, which is the main deal of the event, most of these things we're doing is online. I call this 2021 conference an abridged version. 2019, we were all out on the street. 2020, due to COVID-19, we were basically online. But 2021, we're doing an abridged version online and then physically. But on Saturday, and we're going to be moving up from the Millennium Park in Abuja round to the Secretariat. We call it the walk of hope, or the unity walk. All we are saying is and work, and together you and I have a role to make sure that this nation does not fail. We believe that we haven't done enough for us to quit or give up on Nigeria. We still have a whole lot to do, and so we're going to be working and hoping against all hope that Nigeria actually would find its way to where it ought to be, and Nigerians will understand how important their role is in nation building. It is not so much about leadership alone, because leaders come from followers at the end of the day. We produce leaders from ourselves. So if you do not develop yourself up till now, you naturally want to be a disaster if you eventually become a leader as a follower today. So I'm challenging all Nigerians to let us join hands together. And this is another shout out to everybody in Adamawa. I understand Adamawa volunteers and representatives and from the different local governments in Adamawa states have arrived at Yola today. They're having their walk of unity tomorrow. And that's tomorrow, 26th of May. So in case you're watching this program after the whole event, you would understand when I say tomorrow. And Lagos will also be having their walk on the 29th of May, 2021. Thank you all so much. We also have indication from Nigerians in diaspora, the young professional arm, that they will be joining us on Saturday and lending their voice program that Nigeria is actually a successful nation and in progress. And as Dr. Tobi Oluwatola earlier said, we have not gone too far to say if we've gone too far, we can't make it. Africa we want, and Africa we will achieve. Today, I say shout out all to Africans. We are Africans, and I'm proud of you all. I love the color of my skin. Thank you too much. Mr. Abayomi Adiolu made a statement. He says, I've invested too much in Nigeria to quit. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that comment. And I love your other comments, which you put in earlier. He said, I hold myself the responsibility to be successful, and success will definitely be yours. And the greatness of Nigeria belongs to the stakeholders. All of us are stakeholders. Thank you for your comment. Thank you all for joining us, and have a lovely evening. And until tomorrow and on Saturday, when we'll be broadcasting to you some part of our walk around Nigeria, we say stay real, stay focused, stay hopeful, and we will have the Africa of our dreams. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely weekend and enjoy the rest of your week.